Hey guys, how y'all doing? Bioniclesaurus here, and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at another CollectA figure. This time it is the Temnodontosaurus, which is like a real struggle for me to say. I tend to be pretty good with pronouncing prehistoric genera and species names, but good lord, that's a real tricky one. Anyway, this is a pretty simple little figure. I don't have a lot to say about it. One reason is because I don't know much about it, nor am I an expert on ichthyosaurs or prehistoric marine reptiles in general. With any non-dinosaur review, I always like to just sort of qualify how unqualified I am at the beginning, so that nobody comments later. So if I say anything stupid, you know why. It's because this is not my area of knowledge in particular. So my initial thoughts about this figure in terms of just the overall look of it is that it's really solid. It's very simple. Like in terms of the sculpt, there are some parts like the underneath of the fins that just look a little toy-like. Not a whole lot of effort was put into detail, but at the same time, this is a pretty simple, smooth-looking sea creature. Like in real life, it wouldn't have been a complexly textured animal, so it's hard to complain, but at the same time, I kind of want to complain, because that looks kind of cheap and basic underneath there, but it does its job. It's just nothing extraordinary. Ichthyosaurs, I guess, are just not super hard to make, and what are you going to do? They're simple animals for the most part, at least in terms of integument, being smooth. This thing is very reflective. Like, it's just bouncing the light right off of there. It's very smooth and shiny. It looks like an underwater creature, like it captures that element of the thing well. In terms of accuracy, I think it does solid. I don't really know. Obviously, the fact that it's birthing a youngster is accurate because we have direct fossil evidence that ichthyosaurs had live birth. We have a fully preserved fossil of an adult giving birth, which is incredible. Kind of sad when you think about the formation that led to that fossil material, but there you go. And so that's wonderful. I just love that they've recreated this. Like, that's very unique. And they captured the cycle of life in a single piece of plastic figure. Not a set of figures or any sort of just one thing. That's pretty great. No other company has done this with any prehistoric animal that I can think of. So props to CollectA for really doing something different and new. Getting back to accuracy though, the eyes have this very defined ring around them. I seem to recall that is like a thing that they have in the skeleton, like this big bone ring in the orbit. I don't know if it should be that visible. I feel like this thing is kind of shrink-wrapped. I'm not sure. Also, the snout. There's something about it. I feel like it should be a little thinner and more gracile. There's something about the face that just looks a little like, "Rawr, I am monster." And, I'm imagining that the shape and length of the skull is accurate, because I don't know exactly what the thing's head looked like, to be fair. But there's just something, maybe it's how prominent the teeth are, but if it could be made a little less goofy, looking, and a little more just sleek looking, I suppose that would be an improvement, I think. Just me guessing on what the animal would have actually looked like in life. In terms of paint job, it's super basic. It's barely painted. You have paint in the mouth, which is admittedly very well done. Black eyes, simple but effective. And then you also have some slight dry brushing of a lighter gray color than the actual plastic it's molded in. And that's it. So again, this figure is like, it wasn't a challenge. It's not a challenge to produce. Like, this must be a cheap figure to friggin' produce. I think it was fairly cheap to buy, which is why I do recommend it. And getting into the final rating, I'm going to give this one an 8.5. 8.5. This is wonderful. And overall, the figure is really solid, but there's just nothing extraordinary about it, and I can't help but think that, it's just on the unimpressive side? But it's honestly a really, legitimately difficult figure to give a proper rating to. Now, before we leave, I will just say, again, I do recommend it. It definitely gets above a 5. Anything above a 5 is above a pass, and it's at least a soft recommendation. Here's the Papualosaurus, as per usual. And I also want to bring in an ichthyosaur figure that I actually like a lot better, which is the Carnegie Ichthyosaurus. Now, I like this figure better for a few reasons, but primarily, well, it's two things. Number one, despite having a very simple, smooth sculpt, it has a very interesting paint job to make up for it, which they didn't do that here. The Carnegie did Safari, and the sculptor did a wonderful job with this. This patterning in here is wonderful. It's not overly crazy. It still feels like, yep, that's an ichthyosaur. It's not trying to be anything fancier, but it's just so well done and just nice to look at. It's plain and simple. It's aesthetically pleasing. And this one is just very dull by comparison. And the other thing, too, is you look at the snout and the head on this one, no weird prominent bone ring, a lot smoother and just more graceful and animal-like, whereas this one, again, is kind of like, rawr, I am weird fish bird. This also has the ammonite, which is just beautifully sculpted. To be honest, I love the way that looks. So anyway, I'm now just reviewing another figure. But that's where I'm at. Thank you for watching, and Bioniclesaurus signing out.